Hello, my name is Kira Byrne and I'm the co-CEO of Green Our Planet. We operate one of the largest school garden programs in Nevada here in the Clark County School District. We work with over 140 schools. We build the gardens, we train teachers how to use a STEAM curriculum to teach students outside in the gardens, and we help them run farmers markets. We have a chef to school program and many other activities including hydroponics, pollinator plants and so on. In essence, we help make STEAM really fun for students in the Clark County School District. Thank you so much for participating in the financial literacy program. Your job is very important to us. Essentially, what you'll be doing is teaching students how to manage their finances, how to save money, and in many cases, you will be their first introduction to banking in general. In addition, you'll be working with the students to help prepare them for the student farmers market that will be taking place in a few weeks. The farmers market is when students from all across the school district, over 400, will be coming together to sell the fruits and veggies from their schools. Your job will be to help prepare the students for that big event. This is them in action running their own business. You'll be helping them think about customer service. How do you engage their customers? How do they prepare their booth so that they can attract customers to buy their fruits and veggies? What kind of pricing should they use? And all the other things that go with running a business. All the work that you'll be doing with the students through the lessons that you teach to them will essentially be creating the next generation of entrepreneurs, or perhaps I should say farmpreneurs. Now I'd like to introduce you to two special ladies from the Bank of Nevada, Chris Gaynor and Jerry Merritt. They have worked very hard together with Green Our Planet in order to create this program. We've asked them to share their experiences and insights on how they taught the students at the schools with you, so that when you go to the schools, you have a fantastic experience. So without further ado, Chris Gaynor and Jerry Merritt. Thank you.
70% of Americans living paycheck to paycheck is certainly a statistic that I know we would all like to change. And with that, what better way to do it than to teach the kids in our own community in the Clark County School District. They will get to learn about what banks do in our community. They will be able to learn what it takes to write a business plan. They will learn about needs and wants of a business and an individual. And today will help you with what to expect when you go into the classroom of a fifth grader and be able to teach financial literacy. A couple of helpful hints when you go and you meet your teacher for the first time. Find out exactly who sponsors that garden, which corporate sponsor, because without them, the garden wouldn't be possible. And the other thing is find out from the teacher what their sign is for attention up here. The kids, morning, get very engaged in the process of this, and they get very excited, and they want to share with you what they feel is important when they're putting together their business plan. So keep this in mind, because it might be eyes up here, 1, 2, 3. So ask the teacher what that signal is so that you can use it when you are in the front of the fifth graders.
And before you get started, just remember, they're fourth and fifth graders. They don't bite. So please go into the classroom, be very comfortable that you know all about banking and that you're just here today to share with them the important part of banking, and you might even learn a little bit about gardening also.
Each one of you should have a packet that looks very similar to this. Everything that you need to do to teach the class is right here. In your packets, we won't go over all of this, for you can read them on your own, but we'll talk to you a little bit about the key instruction points that are also in your PowerPoint that each one of the teachers will have uploaded upon your arrival. Please note that there were a couple of sections that have embedded link so that you can click on that and a video will appear on exactly how a bank works. And there's another one on the actual farmers market. You don't need Wi-Fi. Again, it's embedded in the PowerPoint presentation, so you're good to go on that.
You are now in front of the students. One of the first things that you're going to do is your introduction. So, what does a banker do? If you are a banker that's actually just handling cash, you tell them about that. If you are a banker that is actually making loans, tell them about that. And they are very interested and ask questions that sometimes you can't even answer. So how do bankers keep local businesses in our community? Talk to your students quite a bit about that also. And finally, how do bankers keep our community growing? So since you will already have these questions, already know in your mind what part you are going to share with your students about how we grow the community.
So on the next slide, we need to talk with the kids about why they would save their money. Have they saved their money? How do they save their money? Where do they put their money? And don't be afraid to see a show of hands in the audience to see how many of the kids truly save their money or how many actually spend their money. But if you really want to know who the true savers or spenders are, ask them when they go to Chuck E. Cheese how many tickets that they have, if they've won, given the games that they've played. See how many walk out without spending a ticket so that they can get the larger prize. This will truly give you an idea in your audience who's the savers and who's the spenders. The next thing you might want to do is have them raise their hands and see how many of them actually have accounts opened at banks. So throw that question out, see how many are familiar with accounts, and then you can go into more or less detail depending on your audience.
Give the students some general ideas of how their money could get missing if they did not have it in a bank.
As we all know, if we have money in our pockets, we have a tendency to do what? Spend it. It's easy to see that last-minute item in the grocery store and grab gum or something that really wasn't on our needs list. Talk to the kids a little bit about why they should put their money in the bank versus not. How can they set themselves up to obtain their goals? By putting your money in the bank, it makes it a little bit more difficult for you to actually spend the funds that you've worked so hard to earn. The other reason is a child doesn't necessarily have to do another task for money. If they are used to doing chores, again, going back to the slide where we talked about your audience, if they have chores and they earn money that way, this isn't something that they have to do. They actually put their money in a bank and they get free money, which of course we all know as interest. So talk to them a little bit about this and have them talk to you about if they have earned interest in the past or not.
There is a video that the students can watch. There is a link that is actually embedded in the PowerPoint.
This next part of your training has kids actually participate and come up to the front of the room with you. In your packet, you have 10 bags of money and vegetables that the kids will act out. But this particular lesson has to do with the smaller bag. It's the one with the $50 bill. You want to ask for 4 volunteers to come up, and you can do it any way that you want. The slide talks about grandparents giving a child $40 for their birthday. So what we want to demonstrate is how currency moves within a community. The money moves similarly to this. I received $50 and Jerry is the child because I'm the grandparent. She takes the $50 and then gives it to the banker who's also on stage. Then Jerry goes and wants to buy a video game, so she goes back to the banker, who then gives her change, $15 out of her account to go buy the video game. So she then takes that and she goes to the other student and provides them with that money to the toy store owner who has the video game. Then the toy store owner comes back to the banker and gives the banker, of course, all the money. And this is simply, we wanted to show how money and currency moves through our community. This next slide talks about risk and entrepreneurialship. You can ask them what a risk is. You can also ask them if they know what an entrepreneur is. So I have them close their eyes and ask them to imagine that caterpillars and rabbits have destroyed everything and they have nothing to sell. So what are they going to sell as a secondary plan? You can come up with your own and make it fun so the kids can laugh and giggle and use their imagination to be prepared for anything. At this point of the training, you want to talk to the kids about positioning so that they understand that now they are the business owner that is starting their own business.
You want to work with the students to make sure that they have a vision for their garden, because all of the gardens will be different at each school. We can start by saying, how do you want to make your garden better? Most of the schools will have gardens already. So make sure that you're talking to the students about the process that they will be using while they're making their garden.
And now we need to talk a little bit about a vision that is realistic and practical for their garden. For instance, do they really need a fountain in their garden, or do they want a fountain in their garden? This is a good time to address individuals and what they need to survive. As we all know, we need food, clothing, shelter, and a business also has those same characteristics. In order for it to survive, it has to be profitable.
Now you can apply that scenario to their garden. You can help them understand, do they need an apple tree, or do they want a hummingbird feeder? So when you take all of these things into consideration, they will start thinking about, what do I need to make my garden grow? Or what do I want to make my garden maybe just look pretty?
And in this case, there's no right or wrong answer. You would just listen to what the student says, and depending if it veered more on the needs versus the wants, their answer would be correct. With the kids, you always want to encourage them, and with each answer that they give you, just say, yes, that is a good answer. However, I was thinking of it in a little different way, and you can move on to another student. At this point, you're going to show what the latest student-run farmers market looks like. Most of the children that will be attending will be experiencing this for the first time at the largest student-run farmers market in the country. However, at each one of their individual schools, they may have experienced just those students running a farmers market.
A very important part of what we're teaching the students is about how to actually run a garden. And in order to be able to run a garden, you gotta have a what? A plan. And we are going to help these students with a business plan. Many of them may want to make their own individual business plan, but I would recommend to the teacher that we're actually looking for one business plan that all of the students have been a part of, because the garden is actually ran by the students. So they should all be part of one plan to make it successful.
As Jerry said, the class can do this collectively as a group, or each individual student can do it, and the teacher can then collaborate with these students. But you should be receiving the final one by the next time that you meet. On the forms, as you can see, you will discuss things like, what are you selling? Are you going to be grouping some of these items and creating a recipe to sell? How are you going to differentiate yourself from the other students that will be there? How do you know if you're going to be selling some of the same items? Who are your customers and how are you getting them there? Are you telling your family? Are you telling your friends and neighbors? And once they're there, how will they know where your booth is? These are all really important details that go on the business plan. Financing. This might be a really great time to bring in the sponsors. How were the startup costs provided? Was it something the school did for a fundraiser? Or was it our business community and corporate business sponsors that started the garden for you and provided those dollars? And you might want to ask if they have any idea how much those startup dollars are. That way, if your sponsor shows up and buys at your booth, you might want to give them an extra thank you. And on the last page, you want to talk to the kids about their cost per unit. This is something they'll have to write down, but this is something you'll use so when you have this finalized plan the next time that you see the students, you will also be able to ask them, because some of the students, again, won't be at the farmer's market, some of them will. You can ask them if they know what their all-in costs are, how much they need to sell per unit of the items that they have for sale, and what the goal they've set to achieve a certain dollar amount, and what they're going to do with the money if they exceed it or hit their goals.
This is a two-part session. You have now finished with the first lesson, and you'll be returning in about a week for the second lesson. It will give the teacher an opportunity to work with the students on their business plan. So when you return, the business plan will be complete. You'll help them decide on display and signage, and of course labels for their products, and customer service with communication. These are students who will be speaking to adults, and it's very important that you encourage them, that they speak with the adults and know what they're talking about when it actually comes to their product. And then the final piece is a competition. There can be as many as 30 schools or more there, and they're all competing with their products. So it will be up to you to help encourage the students to be excited about competing with the other schools.
Now we are at part 2 of our financial literacy program. Here we will discuss how marketing, customer service are integrated in the business plan. Jerry?
Customer service. Customer service is a very important part of what the students will learn. First of all, they will learn what is customer service. Customer service is all about solving problems for customers. It generally occurs when companies have their employees follow the golden rule. And then, of course, you'll definitely want to talk to them about what is the golden rule. Treating people the way the employees want to be treated. And in this particular case, you're going to be talking to your students about treating the people that will be buying their product the way they would like to be treated if they were actually buying the product. Is a customer always right? And you're going to have many of them that's going to say no, and there will be others that say the customer is always right. But give them an opportunity to talk about why they chose that answer. What is the goal of customer service? The goal of customer service is to create an all-around enjoyable purchasing experience. I've had the opportunity to go to at least 2 student-run farmers markets, and the customer service from the students are very important. So speak with them, help them, and let them ask you questions about what makes up good customer service. The students will have an opportunity to take a look at 3 different scenarios. Okay, one would be a customer walks up to your market table. Everyone is busy making change and helping other customers. You can ask the students, what should you do so the customer doesn't walk away? The second would be a customer wants to buy the last bunch of carrots. They look a bit wilted. She asks if she can have them for half price. How would you handle this situation? And of course, the third one would be a customer says she can get the same seed bombs at another stand for $1 less. What would you do?
On this particular slide, this is an area where you would want to coach your students on customer service, to always greet them with a smile, to always acknowledge their presence, and how to get that customer to come back to their booth and become a repeat customer. On this next slide is the opportunity for another role play session. So in your packets that you received from the first session, you have the larger bags that are filled with money and vegetables. The kids will be split out into groups of 4, which could be different depending on the class size. And one side will be consumers and the other side will be producers. This is where their cash handling skills will come in, because they have to buy vegetables and they may only be buying certain amounts. After the role play is over, this is a great opportunity to see what the kids have learned. When they were a producer, did they use their customer service skills? Did they thank their customer? Did they ask them to come back again? Was it difficult or easy to have this transaction because they're both on opposing sides? The consumer wants to buy something for the least amount, while the producer wants to make the most. So how did they go about balancing that and allow them to give you feedback on their particular experience? and ask them if it was challenging or if it wasn't, and how we or you deal with this as bankers on an everyday basis. Marketing and signage. How are the students going to attract all of the same people that are there to come to their booth versus another? How are they going to handle a comment of, you're selling this for 2, but the booth next to you is only selling it for 1? What will be your answers that set your students apart from their competition? Should they lower the price? Then let's talk about profit margins. What does that do to their all-in costs or their per item costs that they did on their business plan? Another thing that you might want to go ahead and throw in there just as a recommendation, last farmers market, there were some students that had a very unique product. They were selling out fast within the first hour of the market. Possibly they could have additional signage there so they can increase their profit margin by increasing the price that they sell those items.
Now we're finally back to the business plan. And then when we review it, we'll be talking about, was writing a business plan challenging? And of course they're going to say, yes it was. But you're going to say that to them, look how much you learned. And then, did it help you get a clear view of how businesses have to create a plan in order for the bank to help them with financing? It's a little complicated question, because we really did not go into the aspect of borrowing money to actually run their farmers market. But it's important that we help the student understand that businesses really do come to the bank, and we actually take a look at their finances in order to help them borrow money to run their business. And then, of course, do you have a better idea of how your business will create a profit? We talked a lot about that one. You know, how much you sell the product for determines actually how much money you're going to make at the end of the day. And then, do you have any additional questions about running a business and how to set prices to create the profit?
On this section, this is the day of. This is an opportunity to coach the students on exactly what to do to make sure that they are prepared for the big day. Now understand that they actually are going into their garden and picking everything the morning of, so the cilantro is not wilted by the time they get there. So this is a very big day for the 5th graders, and you just want to make sure that they have their signage, they've designed it, it's been created. They also need to make sure that they've labeled their product, very important. Not sure if you're getting cilantro or if you're getting parsley. So it's great for the people when they take it home to know exactly what they've purchased. They want to have also their secondary plan. What crafts are they bringing in case the harvest didn't come to fruition, and other items that they might be selling. Last but not least, you need to make sure that whatever pricing they have for their individual products that they're selling from the garden, that it matches to the business plan pricing. This last side is suggestions of what you can do to coach the kids the day of the farmers market. So this is the banker talking to them to make sure that they remember in all the excitement, what is your all-in cost? What are you selling your individual products for? What are they going to do if they exceed their goal? But what is their goal? What do they want to make? And what are their plans with the money that they will earn at the farmers market? This might be a great opportunity as well on the cash handling. Maybe it's easier for them to add versus subtract. So if something costs $7 and somebody gives them 10, maybe they need to add back the $3 to get to the 10. So the products were 7, a dollar is 8, 9, and 10. These are just some helpful tips so that the kids have an enjoyable experience and reduce the level of anxiety. Or maybe opposite, they're going to be so excited to sell their wares, we might need to contain them a little bit.
Coaching best practices for the day of market. What did the kids think of their competition? What would they do differently? And I think they all have ideas about something they would have done differently if they could. What would they improve upon? I think this is very important, that the students understand that they may have had a successful day, but there's always room for improvement. What did they do well? They need to be encouraged that whatever they did, that they did it well. And in general, What do they think they could have done better? And what can they do to mentor the fourth graders that will be doing this the following year?